Welcome back, my rune weavers. I was hoping that I would be able to start telling you a spring story by today, but we are in the midst of a mid March snowstorm that has dumped about 10 inches of snow outside of my place. So, this not being a day of spring, it is, however, a day of ice and cold. And so there is a rune, Hagalaz, which is next in line, which I think may be appropriate to talk about on the day of a snowstorm. If I talk about a day when there isn't a snowstorm, I might risk calling one down on me, so might as well do it in the middle of one, right? Oh, such is life, you know? You go through your day saying to yourself, oh, I'll just enjoy this beautiful 40-degree weather. And then you wake up the next day and you're like, oh, we had a lot of snow in the night. And I know for my Florida viewers, you don't know that sensation, but let me tell you, it is definitely feelings. Closest equivalent I give you for a Floridian is that time when you go to sleep and you wake up the next morning and you're in the middle of a very annoying tropical storm. I would not say hurricane. It's only 10 inches of snow, which is a lot. But the other parts of Minnesota that are getting 20 inches, I'd say that's more hurricane ish. This is just a bloody nuisance. But funny things happen when you find yourself caught in a snowstorm like this inside. You lose all desire to go outside or do anything. Instead, you curl up on your couch, you watch TV, you read a book, you sketch a picture, you cuddle your kitty cat, you come up with some rune videos, but under no circumstances do you feel any compunction to actually go outside. Well, okay, yes, I did, but I would have had to bundle up quite a bit. And, well, the snow was blowing really hard, so I passed. So I think what we will say here, I think, is an appropriate one for a snowy day. Number 60. Of dry log saved and roof bark stored, a man can know the measure of firewood too, which should last him out quarter and half years to come. In other words, be prepared. Know how much firewood you're going to burn when winter's coming. Know how much you know food you're going to need, how many bottles of distilled water for your humidifier you're going to need. Be ready for that beforehand so you're not joining the mobs of people at Walmart on Saturday morning before the storm hits, trying to buy the things at the very last minute. Buy the things beforehand, and you will not be scrambling later. If you are in Florida, that verse means on June 1st, go to the store, buy as many things of water and dried goods as you can, and stuff them somewhere in your house. Trust me, I did this in a one-room house. It can be done. One-room apartment. And with that, wait out your hurricane. Do not try to wait out the hurricane with supplies bought the day before the hurricane. And what does all this have to do with the runes, pray tell, Birchie? Well, it goes like this, you see. Some people will tell you Hagalaz is a rune to be feared because it's so dangerous. Well, I will say this to those people. You're not necessarily wrong in saying Hagalaz is one of the most dangerous of the runes to use. Its name means hailstone. I'm a Minnesotan. I grew up in the Midwest. I know what a hailstone can do to you, especially if it donks you on the head. I've seen what's done to siding. I've seen what's done to cars. No rune which draws its name and its power from the force of ice barreling down out of the sky with all the speed of gravity is ever going to be taken lightly by me. But it's not the 9th rune for nothing. Remember that number 9, it pops up all over the place in Nordic cosmology. We talk about the 9 realms. We talk about the 9 days that Odin hung on Yggdrasil. You take 3 times 3, you end up with 9. 3, the first odd number above 1, tripled, now becomes 9. It's a number with a lot of magic, a lot of power, a lot of numerology. I'm not getting into the numerology of the number 9 here. My point is that 9 is a number that has a lot of power to it. It can pack a lot of punch. Hagalaz, as the 9th rune, can pack a lot of punch in the same way that a hailstone barreling out of the sky can pack a lot of punch when it whacks your siding, or it whacks your car, or it whacks your head. You do not mess with this rune lightly. But neither, I think, should anyone act like there's anything to be afraid of with it, within reason. I am not afraid of a snowstorm that drops 10 inches of snow outside my home in a single day. It doesn't frighten me. What you have to be before you use or work with this rune is prepared. You have to be prepared for the kind of power that you're working with. You have to be prepared for the kind of energy that it can summon. You have to be prepared for what it can do. Now, Birch, what can this rune do? Why are you being so vague? As we move away from the first 8 and into the second 8 and then the third 8, the second 8 is Hell's 8. It is named for Hagalaz and Hel, the goddess of the dead. This next set of 8 are very closely tied to different aspects of the cosmos. Hagalaz represents Hell, the final ending for pretty much everybody. It's not a place of evil and suffering unless you are a traitor. It's a place where you go to have a nice, quiet drink of mead with your ancestors and, maybe just huddle close together because it does get a little chilly there. But that's about it. Now, what was I saying here? Yes. So it's Hell's rune. It's a rune tied to the goddess of the dead. Where do we all go when we die, right? We return to the earth. What does a hailstone do? It returns to the earth. It comes out of the sky and returns to the earth. When you work with this rune, you are working with the cosmic forces that are in line with gravity, that are in line with life and death, with change, with redirection. It's not a rune that you play with, but it's a rune that you can respect and that you can do a lot with. What else can I say about you, Hagalaz? As I said, though, it is a rune of ice. Hail is, of course, simply another form of ice, but it's ice it's water that has been frozen into the form of ice and comes and condenses down and comes out of the sky. So when we spoke about urus, we were talking about, the water that moves quickly, the water that, is the water cycle. It comes, it goes. This is the part that will come back to you in a way that you may not expect. So, again, I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying that's very powerful and it's tied to the 9th realm of hell. And only use it, I would say, if you feel like those connotations would be helpful to you in whatever context you face. I cannot say that I've encountered such a situation except once. After an ice storm, I was outside walking around, and there was a birch branch on the ground that had been felled from the from a birch tree that was hit with sheets of ice. And um, on the extraordinarily rare occasions I would actually be working with Hagalaz, I don't even have here with me for this video, that's something I would choose to use and work with Hagalaz on. But I'm just gonna put it out there. It's not a rune that I've ever had a reason to call upon specifically. It's a rune that I respect and I would use if ever there was a situation where I felt an ice storm esque, or as I've said in Florida before, a hurricane esque level of magic might be called for. I've simply never been in such a situation. Um, and as with any rune, but Hagalaz in particular, I'm not going to go around playing with forces just for fun. It's not a wise or an intelligent move to make. And in that sense, I suppose Terry Pratchett's wizards had it best. The real sign of magic is not the magic that you use, it's knowing the magic that you have and deliberately choosing not to use it. Because as I said at the beginning, the important thing is you know what reserves you have in store. You know the stock of firewood to get you through the winter storm. You know the supplies of food that will get you through the winter and the lean times of early spring. You know those things. You know how much they are. You know that you have them. And if you let them go to waste or use them frivolously, you will not have them on the day you need them most. So, my rune weavers, I hope you all have a blessed week. Maybe sometime soon, the land of many snows and many waters will see fit to give me another spring when I sit down to make this video. And on that day, I will tell you the story of spring and the goddess who is Ostara and the goddess of winter as she goes to sleep for the summer months. Blessed be, my rune weavers. Blessed be.